Hi, everybody. I hope you're doing great today. It is Sunday morning. Church was canceled. It is snowing. Well, it just stopped actually. So I'm going to have to go shovel the walk again today. And yeah, I wasn't really expecting that. I thought maybe there would be a flurry, but it was a little more than a flurry, but not as much as yesterday. Yesterday it snowed for about 4 hours at least, maybe 6. And yeah, but everything's covered again. Anyway, yeah, I don't know when I'm going to get back to church. It's been a little crazy. Like, there's always some reason I can't get there. And now that I'm over the flu, I would like to get there maybe next week. I guess I'll just get more things done today, which is good. I need to work on some software and installing on the computer that's still kind of dead, but we have maybe narrowed it down to the graphics card. But it was a very long story and to even get to this diagnosis. So I will spare you, but gosh, I hope everything's up and running soon so that I can deliver more videos easier, I guess. Maybe not so easy, but thumbnails I can do. That's about it. Anyway, I got my hair done. Well, got my hair did. No, somebody had complimented me on my hair color a couple of days ago, but it's gray. This is actually God's color now. My natural years ago was medium to dark brown, and my mother's hair was almost black. And I had decided just to stop doing my roots at one point and just letting it go natural. And I'm really happy with the way it's come out because it does, it kind of looks highlighted. So once in a while though, I mean, if you don't have gray hair, let me tell you, the texture changes and it's not a good change. And it takes a lot of like lotions and potions to keep it soft looking. The one thing I had discovered was when you color your hair, whether that is a temporary, a semi-permanent, or a permanent, it changes, like it puts like a coating, that color on the shaft of the hair, and the texture goes back to where it was. And so I do it for a change once in a while. I hadn't done it this year as far as coloring. I like to do a semi-permanent sometimes because, when I was younger, I used to do red colors, auburn. And when I went gray, I did go back to a brown for a little while. But I only do semi-permanent ones because they wash out in about 10 washings. And I don't want to start with like finding my gray again and having to grow roots out, So I do like that as an alternative. And I had said to Chris not long ago, what would be really nice, because I do like my color, is if they would just make a crystal clear hair color. And then I could have silkier hair and not have to change the color. And lo and behold, I found it. It's called Adore. Now, maybe other brands now have it, but this is the first I had seen of it. And so it was a semi-permanent crystal clear. So I did that yesterday. And my hair really is softer. And the ends are not quite where I would like them to be. But I have a little left in the bottle. And I could just do my ends again. But the ends are more of the problem than I would say that is. So, all right, let's get off of me. Well, that didn't come out right. I mean, let me get off what I'm talking about and talk about the topic of the day. I've been thinking about this for the last couple of weeks, and I just decided, I want to talk about it. And it is the fact that you're often defined by your cancer. So people who might ask somebody else how I'm doing, it's all about cancer. It's not about what I've been up to. And I am not my diagnosis. That's the bottom line. And you shouldn't be either. If you have any kind of an illness, you might have it, but it is not who you are. And I do think there are a lot of people who tend to just, this is who I am now. I mean, yeah, there's kind of a new normal. Even if you survive cancer, you're always going to have that question mark over your head. But I mean, we are complex human beings, and I don't want to be identified with that. I mean, it's okay. This YouTube channel is about cancer, but I mean, even offline, you know, everybody goes out of the way to say, you look great. I mean, you would never know that you were sick, you know. And I appreciate that. I want to be saying that you look great and just period, you know. But it is something I've gotten used to. I remember when I first had diabetes, when I was first diagnosed, you know, a diabetic educator said to me, you can die from the disease, or you could die with the disease. So with my cancer, I mean, I could live long enough to die of something else, for sure, with the growth that is very slow, as far as we know, at this moment, you know, and I've got some time on my hands. I don't really want to spend it dwelling on the cancer, except on the videos. I get that. This is my genre. I came here to share that journey. My journey is so much more than the cancer. People react to cancer in the most interesting ways. I don't mean the person that has it. I mean, like, people from the outside, people around you in your circle. And people step in and people step out of that circle. And sometimes it's a little surprising. But you need to talk about it for sure. But if you are not actively sick, then you need to think about what else you can do with your life. You know, it doesn't annoy me in any way that someone would sort of identify me with cancer, but I just don't want to be lumped into something, you know. It is a relationship that I have with my cancer, and everybody's relationships are different. I mean, when I first had it, I had a big tumor on my ovary. That was over 20 years ago. I have a hysterectomy now. And it was a nice round, you know, tumor. I had a couple of those that were nice and round. And I say that because that showed up on imaging much easier than what I have are the flat ones now. And the other thing was that my ovaries were twisted. I had one ovary on the front of my hip and one sort of in the back. So it, like, they took a bicycle wheels and they just went like that. So it was very strange. And a lot of doctors had asked me, did you fall off your bike or something as a child? And no. It was strange, but that's all out now. But the only reason I bring that part up is because the tumor, the largest tumor, was kind of pushed up against my hip. And I decided to name the tumor because I didn't want it to be part of me. I mean, I named that tumor Pedro. Don't ask me why. I have no idea. But my big pun was, well, we were practically joined at the hip, so I thought I should give him a name. But the truth is that I have to separate me from the cancer. The cancer can hold me back with symptoms. It makes me unhappy, for sure. But every relationship you have, like, has an effect. And I had come across this. I want to share. Let me pull this up. It is from elephantsandtea.org. And I think it's a community where people can put up their stories. I'm not really sure because I just happened to find it in a search. And I'm only going to read the last paragraph because I thought this was a very strong statement. This was from someone who says she has survived cancer or some kind of a sarcoma. And she says, I want my identity to be something I've created, not something that has happened to me. It would help if you weren't seen for an illness you had no control over, but as someone who has lived a life you've wanted. I am working towards a dream I have had for a long time. When you are possibly on the brink of death, your life changes in an instant. My dreams and goals are important to me, and I'm trying my best not to let the disease and illness run my life, but it is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Cancer has never been my identity before I was diagnosed, and it won't be the cancer now. I won't let it. Yeah, that spoke volumes to me. It's a very, very strong statement because not everyone actually identifies that. Some people don't think about it and they don't know what really bothers them about it. But you really have to have this relationship that you can't ignore that you have cancer, even if you've given up on treatments and everything else. You know, it's there 24/7. But you do have to put up boundaries just like you would any other relationship. Now, if you're actively in treatments and you're sick, you can still do that. It's a little harder because as time goes on and the longer that I have, the more I try to distance myself. But if I was in active treatments, of course, that would be, it never goes away, but I'm certainly dealing with it differently than I would if I was sick. And the longer I go without being sick, other than my cancer fatigue, stomach issues, that kind of thing, the further away I feel like I'm getting. Like, I feel so blessed for, to get this bonus time, but I don't know how long it's going to last. So I'd rather take advantage of days where I feel good than, succumb to self-pity, things like that. And even if I was actively dying, I don't think I would have any self-pity. I think this is just the way it rolls. Now, would I if I was in my 40s? Sure. I was 40 when I started my first chemo treatment years ago. But I don't think that I had any kind of a self-pity party or anything. And the fact was that for some reason, deep inside, I knew I was going to survive that. And I was no evidence of disease for a long time. And I got my scans every single 6 months, and then it became every year. And you get away from it so that when I was diagnosed with recurrence, oh my gosh, I was devastated, but I was shocked. That knocked the wind out of me. And it was really because those scans were deceiving. And I still have deceiving scans, but I've had the biopsy and the diagnosis and went in for surgery that didn't work. And the chemo treatments didn't work this time. But my relationship with cancer changes. It just depends on where you are with, with the cancer, what stages and what you're doing about it. But if you're able make sure you don't lose sight of you're here still to learn and grow. And we learn and grow from each other. And unless you're in a very extenuating circumstance, then you have to make that effort to just compartmentalize that relationship and put up those boundaries. And I know this is kind of weird, a weird concept to some people, especially if you don't have cancer. But if you do, or you have lots of other illnesses that we have out there, even the diabetes, I think that person who said, you are not your diagnosis to me, and said that you can die from something, or you could die with it. I mean, there's no doubt I will have cancer when I pass. I mean, if you did an autopsy, of course, you're going to find cancer, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what I will die from. And this time around, I mean, I identify the relationship a little differently, because the last time it was just like, I'm going to just get through this and say adios, Pedro, So I don't know. I wanted to share that with you because lately that has been on my mind, that redefining my relationship with cancer, with my cancer. I will own my cancer. And my cancer, when somebody says they have cancer, I never think of it as, we're sharing a friend, because everybody's cancer is an individual. And one of the things that made me see that, it wasn't about embracing the cancer, but it was about understanding that cancer is trying to take over the body. And you can be angry at the cancer. You can scream bloody murder. You could scream, cancer sucks, and it does. But if you were to look at it as a separate entity, well, my view is kind of like this. It's just trying to survive, as if it's a different entity in your body or on your body, wherever your cancer might be, and it is competing for your organs. It's competing. And I don't want to accept that. But when I look at it as a separate entity, it's hard to get mad at, because everybody wants to survive. Does that make sense? Or am I just a weirdo? I don't know. I think I'm a little both. I think it makes sense to me, but I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit of a weirdo. But yeah, I mean, if you have cancer, I would be interested to know in the comments what your view of this separate entity is, or do you just incorporate it? Because I think it's healthier not to be your diagnosis, and it's important to cultivate your life. And when I think of battling cancer, I don't really think of treatment options. I feel like it's a soft battle for me, but it's not really a battle. And it's not necessarily an acceptance either. It's just coexistence. And does that thought process slow it down? I don't know. I do believe in mind over matter. Maybe my thoughts and my feelings about it actually do slow it down. I have had phenomena like that in my life previously, but it's another video for another day. Thank you so much. I hope you have a fabulous Sunday. Love you all, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.